When I read the Hebrews reading today about parental discipline, I was transported back in time to when I was about 12 years old, and a lesson that my father tried to teach me. I had used his tape recorder, emphasis on tape recorder, two reels spinning around, you remember those, without permission. And like most kids, I had not put it back as I had found it. His lesson was that I was never to use the tape recorder ever again. When Hebrews notes today, at the time all discipline seems a cause not for joy but for pain, yet later it brings the peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who are trained by it. I have to admit, in all honesty, that I did not get the lesson my father was teaching. Righteousness, learning, and forgiveness seem to have been missing. In retrospect, however, perhaps the lesson I did learn was that as pastor and leader, father to the people of the parish, I tried to be less strict, more understanding, and patient in both my ministry and in my leadership. On the other hand, I learned many valuable lessons from my friend, mentor, and pastor, Monsignor William Granville, who had a leadership style in which he never gave the impression that he was the boss. In fact, he never, ever said, "I am the boss," in a discussion. We all knew that he was, but he never had to tell us that. That was a powerful, exemplary lesson that has stayed with me ever since. I learned that more gentleness in being a pastor, and I don't think that I have ever said, "I am the boss," in all of my leadership positions, even if at times I've had to be clear, direct, and focused. Today, the readings help us to recall a variety of learnings that we have gathered and gleaned in our own personal life experience, especially the tough ones that were not easy. We learn from Hebrews that suffering can be physical. From John, we learn that suffering can be psychological. One might wonder which is worse, the pain of reprimand from a parent or the pain of rejection from one's own community. I vote for the latter. Jesus' neighbors really missed the point. He cured the sick, he taught in their synagogue, he opened their minds to God's grace, and yet they closed their minds to him. It must have been a profound hurt for Jesus, which leads to another important lesson from the readings today: forgiveness being bigger than the other person. I'm sure that many of us have experienced some hard and painful lessons from people who are very close to us, who have taught us through negative experiences. I guess you always hurt the one you love. Yet in that moment, and sadly, if we have held on to the hurt for many years, we have a chance now not to remain reactive, but to be proactive with love and forgiveness. Today, let us step back and realize the greatest lesson is how to love as a disciple of Jesus Christ, faithful to our calling. Yes, the suffering, rejection, hurt, and pain can be deep, but our love for one another, our patience, understanding, and willingness to reach out, to love above all things, and to give forgiveness and maybe ask for forgiveness is really much deeper and can be the greatest lesson that we can teach another person.